Hey guys, so these are the little ends that I'm going to teach you how to make today. I use these to finish off my leather cords. Here's them a little bit closer. They're pretty much just hammered bits of wire with loops on the end. I'm going to show you from beginning to end, hopefully clear enough, and if it's not clear enough, let me know in the comments. I tried my best. It's a little hard to explain, but hopefully you get it. So this is all the tools that you're going to need. You're going to need leather cord, wire, you'll need round and flat nose pliers, wire cutters, a hammering block, and a hammer. So grab those supplies and we'll get started. So what I'm going to do is, the customer who ordered from me wants two cords that are 16 inches long. So I'm just going to go behind the camera here and cut this leather. What you want to do is you want to cut the cord 1 inch shorter than the length that you want. I do this because I know that my clasp and the loops that we're going to be creating are around 1 inch in length, so I want to make sure that it's not too long so I don't have to redo the ends a second time. So they ordered two, so I've cut two pieces that are 16 inches long, and what I'm going to do is set these to the side for a moment, and I'm going to show you what wire I'm going to be using today. So I'm going to be using 16 gauge. This is copper wire, so it's very soft and malleable and easy to work with. What you can do is, if you're using hard wire, I would suggest annealing it first with a torch, because you want this to be as soft as possible, because you're going to be hammering part of it flat, so it might make it really hard to move it around after you've hammered it and made it harder. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your cutters and you're going to cut, I'd say that's about 1.5 inches, and you're going to want to cut one piece for every end that you have to make. So I need to make 4, so I'm going to cut 4 of these pieces. Alright, so we've got our 4 pieces. I can move the wire off to the side. So now, this is the first time I think I've used my hammer on camera. I'm sorry that my block is a little rusty. I haven't used it in a while. I need to go back and polish it and make it all nice and shiny. So what you're going to do is you're just going to hammer your bits. You're going to hammer these about halfway up. So half of it you're going to hammer flat. Completely flat. Now, I like to use the round part of the hammer because I have a little bit more control over what pieces get hammered and which pieces don't. With a piece this small, I wouldn't want to use the flat one because you might get some dings and marks and it'll be really hard to control what gets flattened and what doesn't. So you're going to do that to all of the pieces that you need to hammer. When you're hammering these, you want to make sure that they stay as straight as possible, but it's okay if they get a little bit of a curve like this one has. So that's all we'll be needing of the hammer for now, so you can kind of put that away. You're going to take each one of your pieces now with your round nose pliers, and the side you can see here, this is the side that I hammered. It has kind of a hammered texture. If you don't have a flat block like me, you're going to see some scratches and some dings along the back side of this. So you're going to want to show this side and not this side. So when you place your wire on your round nose pliers, you're going to guesstimate about, you know, where on your round nose pliers you think is the correct size for your leather. You can always easily overestimate it, and that's totally okay because you're going to be pinching it down and making it smaller. So always aim for bigger if you can. So you're going to want to face the ugly side towards the part of the round nose plier that you're going to be curling it around. So you start all the way at the end and you pinch down and you curl and you're going to be making pretty much a spring-like design to where it's going to coil upwards. So see how I started here, I twirled all the way around. I started here and I twirled all the way around, and now it's going above the end. That's what you want. You want it to be continuous. Now, because most round nose pliers, they taper, so it gets smaller towards the top. So once you've done that, you're going to flip it around, and now you're going to continue this, but going downwards where it gets bigger instead of smaller. And then once you run out of hammered wire, that's where you stop, and that's where you're going to take your flat nose pliers. You're going to pinch right where it ends. I'm going to see if I can get the camera to focus. Alright, so right where this ends here, that's where you're going to pinch, and you're going to, it's easy if you put your round nose pliers inside the curl to keep its shape while you bend. And now, it's hard to show you this way, but you're going to take your pliers and you're going to bend it upwards. So now this is an L shape almost, and it's facing up and away from your curls. It's okay if it's a little kinked, you can always fix it, make it straight up and down, and that's what you want. It's okay if this is a little uneven. Like I said, we're going to be pinching this down starting at the bottom, so it's going to even itself out, and you're going to do that to all of the ends. Now another way to do it is after you've twirled, you can always pinch down where it starts to go out. You can pinch down tight and then push with your finger and bend it back down towards the pliers. It'll still be a little off because you can't push it that far, so you're going to have to fix it with your flat nose pliers anyway, but it's just a quick way to do this. Alright, so I've got all 4 of my pieces done, and now we're going to attach them to the leather. So, in theory, you should have guesstimated about what the size is and if it fits perfectly. I've gotten pretty used to finding the size because I've made a bunch of these before, but play around with the size and see what fits the leather that you're using. You can use this up to any size leather, it will work regardless. I've even used it on like 6mm leather and it still worked just fine. So what you're going to do is you're going to put it on one of your ends. So it should feel pretty loose, be able to move around a little bit, that's totally okay. And you're going to grab your flat nose pliers, those round ones, flat nose pliers, and you're going to leave a good amount of space towards the top, at least the width of your coil you want to leave as extra at the top. And you're going to start at the bottom. My camera is not focusing. There we go. You're going to start at the bottom. You're going to pinch down on that end piece. See how now it's tight? And you're going to go around the coil all the way up in the direction of it, starting from the bottom. So I'm going to pinch there, and I'm going to hold it as I twist it a little bit, and then pinch again. And hold and pinch. And hold and pinch. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way up the coil until every ounce of the coil is tightly wrapped around the leather. Like this. So you've made it all the way up, and now you can kind of straighten it out because the leather itself is a little kinked. But that's pretty much it. Now it's really strong. I can take my pair of pliers and pull real hard and it's not going to come off. So after that you're going to go back with your round nose pliers and you are going to just make a little loop on the end. So you're going to loop this back down and around until my camera focuses again. Loop it down, back and around until it hits the coil. Now you want to get rid of the extra wire here because you want to make it push in and rest on top of these wires here. So you're going to have to trim off the extra. And I'm going to trim off about that much. Because when I hammer it, this is going to get a little bit longer. So I'm going to just temporarily pinch this in a little bit, get it out of the way so it's not going to catch on anything. Although it's catching on my skin now because I haven't hammered it yet. So we're going to go back to the hammer, and you're going to only hammer the loop. Try your best not to hit the coil, otherwise you'll mess the whole thing up. And for this I do suggest using the flat side of the hammer because it gives it a more even hammer, and you're only hitting one small section. Now that that's done, there is some extra leather in there filling up the gap. So you're just going to push that through to the other side, have it stick out, right, and then go back and trim it either with a pair of scissors, or I use my wire cutters because they're really good cutters. And if you have room still in between here, you can probably get in below here and snip it real close and get it out of the way, right? So I'm going to pinch this back in again and this down. And personally for me, I don't really care if the loops are a little tilted as long as they do their job. That's all that matters. So that's done. That's one end, and I'm going to do that to all of the others. Now sometimes this will happen where your L will be too big so it'll stick out, which is okay. There's no real fix for it other than making, you know, another loop and another end. That's pretty much the only way to solve it, sadly. Sometimes you can get away with just pushing the end in and it'll be just short enough to fit in there comfortably. Now the reason why we are hammering these ends is so they stay strong and they don't lose their shape, because if you put a little clasp or something on here, you want to make sure that is the strongest connection it can be to the leather. You want to make sure that's not going to come apart at all, and it's definitely not going to. And we're down to the last one. And that is pretty much it. I'll grab the other ends here. So here's all the ends that we made today. And they're nice and solid. I could probably, if I attached these to something stronger than leather, they would easily be able to hold a lot of weight. They're really strong and they're on there for good. They're not going to come off at all. You can use this with any metal type as long as it's soft enough to be malleable, to be able to be pinched around the leather. You can even use this on suede. I have used this on suede before and it does work. If you're using square suede, I still suggest making the ends round here. It may pinch down and make look a little weird, but it'll still be just as strong as if you were to use leather. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to go finish these off, make some clasps and some loops, and ship these out to, I believe, Texas. So So have a great day, guys. Thanks again for watching. Leave a like and subscribe.